Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1553. This is part two of a two-part show with Kevin Buckler. Today, we're going to focus on Adobe Road, a winery, so sit tight.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I'm revved up and very excited to share with you today the second part of a two-part talk with racer Kevin Buckler. He's calling in from the winery tasting room there at the Adobe Road Winery in Petaluma, California. We're going to have a little fun because this show's going to be a little different than your traditional Cars Yeah show. Today, we're going to enjoy some very fine wine. Kevin Buckler is the founder and CEO of the Racers Group, known as TRG, and Adobe Road Winery, and he's a professional race car driver and team owner. Adobe Road has become one of the darling boutiques producers coming out of Sonoma and Napa counties and has received over 30-plus scores from the Wine Spectator and Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. Kevin and the team conceived and launched a new wine brand called the Racing Series with an unbelievable response. The Racing Series are 4 amazing California blend wines from Napa and Sonoma that feature cutting-edge packaging, technology, and all-around a motorsports theme. And if you missed my talk yesterday with Kevin, be sure to go back and listen because we learned about his racing career, and TRG is a fascinating story. But today, we're going to enjoy some very nice wine. Sit tight. We'll be right back, but first a word from our special sponsors that make Cars Yeah possible. We'll be right back. What's your vehicle's worst enemy? No, it's not that bird that sits on that branch just above your car, waiting for his chance. It's the sun. But don't worry, Covercraft has you covered. Their sunscreens are a fast, easy, and inexpensive way to protect your dash from the sun's harmful UV rays, and they keep the interior of your vehicle way cool. Covercraft makes a wide variety of custom-fit sunscreens for almost any car that exists. They offer a wide variety of custom-fit sunscreens in a variety of colors as well for you to choose from. They're fast, easy to use, they fold up quick, and they store under or behind your seat and take about 5 seconds to install or remove. I have a Covercraft sunscreen in all of my vehicles, and you should too. And I've got a deal for you. Order online at covercraft.com and use the code YEAH120 and get 10% off your order. That's code YEAH120, YEAH 120 at covercraft.com. They've got you covered. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for enthusiasts and collectors. It's your monthly must-read whether you dream of owning a collector car or if you have 200 in your garage. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. Plus, you'll get an exclusive SCM guide to restoration shops included for free. And I've got a couple very cool offers. One is if you go and subscribe to their digital subscription, you're going to get 50% off using the code Cars Yeah. That's right, 50% off their digital subscription. But wait, that's not all. If you go and subscribe and get their print magazine and use the code BSH, you get $10 off. That's right, $10 off. Why BSH? Well, that's the Buy, Sell, Hold podcast that I do every Tuesday with Keith Martin. You'll find it here on the Cars Yeah website or using your mobile device with any mobile device podcast app, or you can find it at sportscarmarket.com. That's Buy, Sell, Hold, the essence of collecting. Hey, Kevin, welcome back to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I'm ready. Back at my desk. I got that Recaro chair here, right up, pushed up close, and green flag, man.
All right, buckled down tight. Well, yesterday on Cars Yeah, we talked about your racing career, your passion for automobiles, your history, your incredible success running the Racers Group. As we continue on this journey that your life is about, today we're going to venture from the racetrack to the vineyards. So I want you to start with a little kind of startup here about the winery, what you're doing there, and maybe where you guys are located. So grab the wheel.
Sure. Yeah, we started the race team in '92 here in Northern California, and it's a wine culture here. I said I was in the car culture in Southern California, but right up here, people seem to have a lot of opportunities to do a little bit more than just go tasting on the weekends. And I did. I joined a little club. It was funny. It was a group of guys and wives, and we had a guy that was had a barn out here in Petaluma. We would buy some grapes from one of the growers here. We weren't cutting any corners either. It wasn't like we were trying to make cheap wine. We just had fun. So everything we did, since it was so small, we did premium.
Yeah.
We bought a barrel's worth of Cabernet. We had a barrel's worth of Zinfandel, and we had about a barrel's worth of Pinot. It's about 25 cases going in a barrel.
Uh-huh.
And, we finished the wine off, give it away at Christmas, have some fun with it. But it really got me hooked. Eventually, I bought those guys out one by one because it just, and then my very practical life, gives you the hairy eyeball. It's like once you own it, you have to feed it. It's kind of like a race team or a racehorse, or a yacht. And so, we had to start figuring out what to do quickly. And in 2002, 2003, we took the wheel of the entire winery and started driving it forward.
Wow.
So we're located right now in Petaluma, California. Yeah. And Petaluma is sort of the gateway to the wine country because when you come up across the Golden Gate Bridge through Marin County to everyone Sausalito stuff, and then you enter Sonoma County, the first city you'd hit would be Petaluma. You used to drive by it, but not anymore. They went through a huge economic redevelopment, and of course, our other business is located here, and we saw it coming, and so it's like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to ever jump into the wine business, jumping up into Napa or Sonoma just doesn't make any sense when Petaluma has become kind of the Austin, Texas of Napa Valley.
Right.
And we bought a piece of property here 5 years ago, and after a long process, we were about to break ground on what might be one of the most epic winery projects going right now. And that's a big word to say, but we got this.
This is an incredible story. I think this is pretty cool. It's one of those dream stories. A lot of people have this dream of, we'll start a winery, and then they get into it. And like you said, big hairy eyeball, like, what have we gotten ourselves into?
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. Tell us about the passion that you and your team there have behind making special wines. Where did this come from, and what does it mean to you?
The wine business in general is maybe a lot different than my other business in the sense that everybody is a little more laissez-faire. Everyone kind of does their thing. Very competitive, I'm sure, at the top with the big companies and the ones that are going through acquisitions and things before our little crisis here. Mm-hmm. But, when we got involved and I looked at, gosh, not only do I love the business, but I'd like to see if we can take it to the next level. And as a small boutique winery, you've got to find your way. And is that going to be through mail order, direct to consumer, mail wine clubs, all that type of stuff? But if you're really going to grow, you're going to eventually need to be involved in what's called the 3-tier system, which is the distributor market. So you have to go and make a deal with every distributor in every state and bang on their door till your knuckles are bloody because they're dealing with bigger, more profitable wineries all the time. So it's really a tough road to hoe. And again, so similar to racing that you finally get to the point where you've got the snowball at the top of the hill and it's about to start rolling, and it just takes a long time to get there, and we're right there right now. It just, combination of Adobe Road from scratch we're about 7,000 cases. Uh-huh. We have about 1,200 members total in our wine club, which is a big part of what we do. Wine club is in inner sanctum to us. It's we take care of the wine club members in every way. All the special little things we do with them. But also, we started a new brand, and that's what you had sitting in front of you. Watching what's happened in the wine world, where a young guy started a cool brand around a story. Like a good example is The Prisoner. Those guys just grew. Great advertising program with a witness protection program. Everyone thought it was cool label. Yeah. And all of a sudden, boom, sold the company for almost $300 million. And that's happened many, many times in the wine business recently. So, I'm looking at kind of like talking to one of the key people in one of the agencies, and they said, you guys don't need us. You have a story.
Yeah.
Play it on your motorsports story, and then it stays with the authenticity part of it. And so we did. Yeah. We said, let's do what we love. Let's do something with wine around racing. And we designed a brand new brand of wines called the Racing Series. And all of the bottles are, like you'd mentioned very kindly, cutting-edge packaging technology, really cool bottles and labels.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there for you, but the labels are the special part.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. Now, your wines receive a consistent score of 90-plus points, which is really, really fascinating. Very, very cool. Tell me about your team that you have there at Adobe Road Winery and your winemakers.
Sure. So as part of the same sort of mantra that we brought over from the racing team, we have a meeting here every Tuesday, and I call it the wine team competition meeting, because especially in the old days of running the NASCAR and the sports car team, we always had a meeting on Monday morning called the competition meeting. Now we do one on Tuesday for the winery called the competition meeting.
Nice.
But I want everyone to come to the meeting with a little more, call it front edge of your skis. Everyone comes with new ideas. Our tasting room manager and his staff, they go through how the week was. There's 4 of them. And I've got the winemaker and his assistant winemaker. What are we doing? When's the next bottling? What are your challenges? I'm in the room trying to be, what can I do for you guys?
Yes.
Marketing team talks, social media talks, finance, my wife talks, and we kind of take about an hour. We really nail it, and then we put some edicts, mantras, things down on the table that we want to accomplish in the next week.
Yep.
Try to follow through, but I really keep everyone on task that way. And the funny part is, when we were raising some money with investors, I had invited several other people to attend these meetings, and these are solid business people, and they understand stuff. And they sat through the meeting and saw the intensity of the team, and they looked at me and they said, "Do you think a lot of other small wineries are having meetings like this right now?" And I said, "Nope."
No.
And I said jokingly, I said, I want to pop my head up around and look at the other small wineries. I go, "I think we can take them." It's kind of a funny thing we say, but my winemaker is awesome. It was 6 years ago, realizing that was probably the beginning of what was most important is good wine. If I'm going to keep saying, we're the real deal, we're authentic, you can say it all you want, but you got to prove it. And so the 90-point scores were really big for us, because those are the 2 big publications. We don't go to some, restaurant guy that scores it, and you get those. Those are real. Some people say scores don't matter, but of course they do. They've recognized your wine, your little small brand.
Right.
And he and I make magic together. It's really funny. It's like a good player-coach relationship, or Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson. It's I have a good palate. I've got a big wine cellar, and I travel a lot, and I know what the critics are thinking. I just understand that end of the business. What a good red blend, what a good GSM is supposed to taste like.
Right.
He, on the other hand, but I don't make wine, and I don't have those technical skills. He, on the other hand, is a fantastic winemaker, very much in touch with the vineyards, the growers, all the things that can make a difference in creating a superior product. And then he plugs in really well with me. We collaborate really well. We're better together than ever we'd be apart.
That's all part of a teamwork, and it's amazing how these do dovetail together. The idea of seeking investor sponsors, that's what racing's all about. Having all the right teammates, all the right people who can do the things from mechanics to designers, engineers, drivers.
Absolutely.
And of course, the vehicle. So, all these things kind of work together. Let me ask you this. What's your favorite thing about being in the wine business?
For sure, the people that we meet.
Yeah, there you go.
I used to say I'd stand up at a dinner. I'd be in Indiana at a wonderful country club, and they had me up for wine dinner, and we get to 2 hours in front of the group, and I tap the glass and say, "You know what, guys? Truly, the profit in what we do is the people that we meet and the relationships that come along with it." Now, for us, the profit is definitely changing. Our new brand and the new facility are going to knock it out of the park for me and my awesome group of investors. I got a bunch of car guy investor partners, which is super cool. Big brothers on the playground. It's like an extra strategy. So both worlds just put me in places where I'm in front of such wonderful people, and some of them turn into really great relationships. And we're totally, again, we put all that in front of everything else. It seems like if you do, good things will follow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of your investors, Stuart Sobek, is a past guest here on Cars.
Yay!
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I posted some pictures of when I received your wines yesterday. Did a nice little short video. And I try to make everything look beautiful, which was easy with these things in this box and these bottles. Posted them up on social media, and Stuart popped in and was talking about the wine.
Funny.
So, yeah, very, very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit more, because we've teased the listeners here about this racing series. And I want to encourage you listeners, you can go find a video I posted up on my Facebook page, a Twitter page. I put it up there. I'm going to put it up there again when this show goes live, so you can see what we're talking about. And of course, I've got links to the website, Adobe Road, so you can go there and see these things. But I'll tell you something. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt here, Kevin. I pride myself in liking very nice things and realizing the importance of design and packaging, because I did that for many, many years in my career. This arrived and I opened it, and it just knocked me back on my heels.
Awesome.
And it reminded me of a couple things I'll share here before I have you go into depth about how you develop this. When you get an Apple product, the box itself is something you just don't even want to throw away. It's so special. It feels special. And friends of mine that work at Apple have told me the engineering and the design that went into just that box was over the top. You did it with this. Then when you lift the top and you look at the bottles, and I don't know how you did these labels. I mean, they're three-dimensional. On the red line bottle, the tack arm swings back and forth. The Daytona looks like a Daytona watch that came off the wrist of a Daytona winner. It's insane. So tell us more about the racing series, because again, I'm just sitting here flabbergasted. I want to order another set so that I can keep one unopened because it's so precious.
You're so kind. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. So like we talked about on the other show, trying to find a competitive edge, whatever it is, those endurance races where we realized we could do it, or any number of things. I knew when we were coming out with this product, I knew there was a place for it. There's always a seat at the table for excellence, like I said before. But the wine business is tricky. It's more than people know. And just like if you come into racing for the first time, you go, wow, this whole industry is deeper and harder than I ever expected. The wine business is the same thing, maybe even more, because there's so much money involved, so many big players, and so many people that drink wine. So you've got big companies, a million case wineries, and you got little guys, and the problem is it's so similar to racing in that some of those little guys happens to be a guy that just sold his tech company for a fortune, and he's making some wine right now. So he brings in the best resources.
Yes.
Where we beat him is bringing the team together and doing a better job and making good decisions. This was, to us, was a no-brainer, is that we're going to play into our motorsports hand, which was always hopefully excellence delivered, was our mantra for a long time. But I had a chance. If we're going to get wine in front of people that are this people, your listeners, and we have one chance to blow them out of the water, and it's going to be doing something spectacular. So it took 2 years to do all that. We didn't want to do an average label. We didn't want to do an average bottle. So everything I tried to do, it's be something where you go, and so the first four, there are two more coming, was each of those wines. And it started with the wine. We did a really cool blend with the red line, in keeping with that kind of sweet spot of a $40 red blend. And then we tested it with an older label before, but I was really underestimated the value of those metal labels and how much people really they enjoyed them and buying them, of course. Yeah. And so finally, with the new metal label on the red line, and it is a little tachometer. It's got a little red needle in it, and when you tip it to pour it pours tips into the red. Took a while to get that right, but we got it right, and we did 3,500 cases of that wine.
Wow.
And then the second one we did was called Shift. That one has, one of the old vintage cars that I love, a mid-'60s, late '60s gated Ferrari shifter. And literally, you can look it up, that is that shifter right there. And I had the guy that did it with me, that's a label expert. We were way outside the window of how big of a label he could put on the bottle. That thing's pretty big, bigger than a deck of cards, But, adhesive technology is a challenge, but, you got to know some good guys at 3M that will help you out a little bit. And so, we were able to design it. We got the little screws, looks like, they're actually, they're etched in there, little carbon fiber. And then the top, that was the hard part. We did a little actual 5-speed shifter, so it's got a little 5-speed shifter knob. And I always joke, you go to dinner and you watch the two couples, and a couple of the dudes or even the gals nowadays are fighting over who gets to keep the shifter.
Oh, well, I can imagine. Now, let me ask you on that bottle, on the Shift bottle, what's the name of that shape of bottle? Because it almost looks like a port bottle, or it's very elegant looking.
I don't know the formal name of it. Garrett, our winemaker, would, but it's very unique, and it does kind of strike your eye. Even without the label, the bottle catch your eye. It's almost like the shape of the bottles were important, but they got kind of lost.
Yes.
And then that wine got a 93 plus from Robert Parker, which, people think you're going to make a wine like this and you're going to have some fun with the label. It's not kitschy if you can back it up with the wine, and we did. And so that's why that was a big success for us. And that was I was fortunate enough, I was on a really fun week with our agency in New York. And things I dreamed about. I got to have dinner with the Forbes guy, and he wrote a great story. We had the next day at the Wall Street Journal, they wrote a great story. And I was leaving, and they said, no, you got to stay. You're going to be on Fox Business Mornings with Maria tomorrow morning. Maria Bartiromo. I'm like, I'm there. So I had to get myself kind of set up. I did a little 5 a.m. run in Manhattan, and I cleared my head and sat down and did a show with them on She's Holding Up the Bottles, and it was fun.
That is cool. Well, next up is the 24. Of course, a dedication to the 24-hour races, endurance races. And as I said, this one has it looks like a Rolex Daytona watch on the front. It's a relief. Looks like I could peel it off and put it on my wrist and get away with wearing a fancy watch.
Well, it does, and this particular blend, I missed it. The shift is a Zinfandel Barbera Grenache, so it's very Italian varietal, fruit forward. I call it my favorite pizza wine. No oak, and it's just different. This blend is called a GSM, and you hear people say it a lot. It's Grenache Syrah Mourvedre, and now people use that term GSM a little bit ubiquitous. They'll say it for any blend that might have some of those varietals in it, but properly it has those three varietals. This one has a little bit of Malbec, so we call this GSM squared because it got two M's in it.
Nice.
But yeah, we had a little fun with it because this is difficult to make. It's like a Pinot. And so when you think about, for us, the challenge of the 24, this was a challenge. And so we put the two together. Every one of these things have a couple meanings to them. Mm-hmm. And for that year, and you see that picture inside the box, talk about the giant killer. I mean, we went to Daytona in 2003, knowing we could do it because we won in 2002, but never thinking we could win the race overall because that never happened. But with a perfect storm, we had perfect strategy and basically followed the no-mistake strategy and made no mistakes, drove the wheels off that car for 24 hours, and we ended up winning the race overall. And so that's the only time you get a gold Rolex back in the old days. Next vintage, we are doing it currently, producing. It will have a stainless Rolex on it, and it's not a Rolex. I can't say Rolex. It will have a stainless
We understand. We don't want to get any trouble with them. Yeah, chronograph. Yeah, there you go.
Stainless chronograph, and it will have a stainless shifter on the top. So we're going to upgrade new modern technology going in. But that's a delicious wine. The ladies tend to like that one a lot. It's got a very floral, effeminate sort of a nose to it, and but a really great wine.
Awesome. And then last but not least, one of the most important parts of racing is apexing a corner. So the Apex, tell us about that.
Absolutely. The Apex is our pinnacle. That's a $78 cab killer blend. And I say cab killer because someone that'll go out and, like the big boys that are, $100, $200 bottles of wine, that wine competes with anything in the marketplace, and I hear that from a lot of people, even before they look at the package. So we did a little metal curbing. If anyone knows, Laguna Seca Turn 4, kind of that right-hander right there. That's kind of what it looks like. But it's like running up on the rumble strips and hearing the inside unloaded wheels. And we had some fun with this. We're just about to launch some new, doing a little double entendre with the QR codes. So when you hit it, it immediately flashes up me driving in car and loud and violently down onto the curbs, and then it immediately flips over to very stoic, very quiet. And there's Garrett, my winemaker, saying, "And here we are in the winery using the apex of technology, taking the best grapes," and that's what it was. I gave Garrett, the only edict I gave him was you just use a Cabernet-based blend, 50% or more, and anything else you can do to make the best wine you can. And that's what it was. So that's got a little Syrah, it's got a little Cab Franc in it. It's just delicious, really good. And then the box is a whole other story. So that's the last part would be the box.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I want you to get me a link to that little story you just shared so I can put that on your show notes page so people can watch that. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this box because, again, I mentioned this to you when I called you yesterday and said, this is blowing me away. I mean, you can't throw the box away. There's no way. This is, but then if you use it as a gift, some guy's going to open and go, where's the damn wine? You drank it all, But tell me about this box because this is, again, just killer. I'm
not sure if we charged into new ground or we shot ourselves in the foot because it's just like the bottles. I'm afraid, like some people say, I don't want to drink them. Or I say drink them, and they say, well, I don't want to throw the bottle away. So actually, I think it's working. But
yeah, it is.
Each of the bottles comes in a branded 12-pack. So like when we're selling wine at Total, and you look up on the shelf, and above where the wine is, there's a stack of boxes with a big tachometer on it, and you're a car guy, you're probably going to go look at it.
Yeah.
So each of those wines it's black black enamel box with a clean look of each of the labels on the outside. But then we did a little gift. I was doing a little gift box, just kind of using my creative juices, thinking, I bet you, God, there's so many people in our world that I would either love to give or someone would love to gift. Guy says, oh my God, I'll buy 10 of these for my clients.
Right.
And so that's how it started. But, we were doing business overseas and they wanted a minimum order of 500. I'm like, I don't want to do.
I understand.
And again, my wife's like, you can't do 500. So anyway, we did it. We did 500 and then we did 500 more. And 500 more, and 500 more. We have a stack. I'll send you a photo if you'd like to post. I have a stack of what just came in off the ship. I have 600 more sitting in the back of the race shop, and it's taken up that's a lot of square footage.
Yeah.
But it's been a big hit. That 4-pack racing series has been really cool. People enjoy it, and I'm glad they enjoy it. We're getting some good coverage on it. And then we are adding a 5th and a 6th wine here coming up. We're doing a white wine, a dirty Rhone varietal, several white Rhone varietals, which would be fun. We haven't named it yet. We do have a little naming process in our competition meeting. It's really funny because I got this new wine coming up, which is going to be a Malbec Petit Syrah Petit Verdot. So it's going to be very deep and dark. And I got the suggestions the other day around the table. Now, this is what you don't ask your race team for suggestions, because the suggestions were skid marks, no.
No.
Burnout, no. So anyway, we ended up looking. I got this cool piece from American Express, this little carbon fiber wallet. And I was looking at it, and it was like, there it is. We're going to name it Carbon. And I'm putting a big piece of carbon fiber on the label. But the gift boxes have been a big rage, and now what we're doing is we're doing them in single packs. So I have one that looks like carbon fiber. When you open it up, the bottle's inside, and I have a little opener in there, a really high quality opener. Yeah. And then we sell them with like one pack with 2 glasses, and just trying to think of just people taking the shopping experience off of their plate. If they can go onto our website and buy any number of things and half your Christmas is done, we're like, yeah, hell yeah.
This is brilliant. I think it's cool. And what's going to be fantastic about this, and I'll put links to the website so all you listeners can go and make orders of these things, is when we all come out of this pandemic, we all need to get together and share our friendships, share time with people, and there's no better way to do it with a wonderful, spectacular glass of wine. So this is brilliant what you're doing. We're going to take a short break, thank our sponsors here, and we're going to be back. I want to talk a little bit about this new winery you're building, so sit tight. We're coming right back.
Great.
If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you've probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Ike and Penny, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Ike and Penny, today. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. All right, we are back. We've got the bottles of wine here. I want you to share what's going on with this new groundbreaking and this new winery and the state-of-the-art facility that you teased us with a little early on. What can we expect to be coming down the road here?
Yeah, I have a wonderful group they were car friends, partners, big brothers on the playground that came to me years ago and said, we'd like to be involved in the wine business as an investment. And they were asking me to kind of check one out for them, and we kept looking, and I told them, nah, I don't do that, nah, I don't do that. But then they asked me, what are you and Deborah going to do? And we were right at an inflection point of, I've done everything I can do. I keep going back and banging my head against the wall, and at that level, in GT3 level, in motorsports, I'm like, well, I'm thinking about maybe, yeah. So they gave me a task, come back to us with a plan. And so it took a year. I looked all over, knowing I probably had some people behind me. You first go to Napa and you go to Sonoma and you have these big dreams, but the problem is, we're doing this for a profit and for a business venture. And in all cases, I'm just going, there's just no way you want to come up here. The place is so restrictive. Tasting rooms close at 5 o'clock. There's one more driveway you got to turn up to compete with that guy's cave.
Right. And
so I'm sitting in the middle of it's like the girl who you looked over and now you realize that's the best one of all. It's right here in Petaluma. The city has gone through a huge economic redevelopment. It always had kind of a cowboy western flair to it, and it used to be a port town. Everything from when there was no Golden Gate Bridge, everything was offloaded here to go north. And but you used to drive by it. Now it's got an economic development downtown redone, beautiful theater district, an old world feel. We have our current tasting room down there because we wanted to kind of get involved with the community, and it's right in the old mill building. It's literally the old mill building.
Nice.
You can see where they used to mill stuff. So I was looking around. I talked to a couple of the city fathers, just kind of vetting the idea, and everybody was super game to bring the winery to Petaluma, where Napa or Sonoma could give a rat's ass. And of course, love the areas, but just we want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so it all came into focus. There was a little piece of property that was not owned by one of the two big developers, owned by a couple of old Italian brothers. It was right on the waterfront. It was an old repair garage.
Cool.
And after many, many Thursday coffees, we got them in contract and bought the property. And again, that was almost 5 years ago. And now, clean sheet of paper. Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so I designed it's a 16,000 square foot entertainment complex.
There you go.
It's got 40-foot opening doors in the tasting room. The tasting room is very warm, almost a southwestern feel to it. Goes out to the fire pits and right there on the deck, and people are kayaking by.
Nice.
We've got a big pizza oven station next door outside, and then there's a big banquet facility because little did I know Petaluma doesn't have any banquet space. We had one of the important city fathers. I'll leave it anonymous. Invested with us locally and knew we were going to kill it. So that helped guide us through the thing. We're able to get everything approved, not because of that, but everything approved because the city was very keen on all the ideas. And we're open till 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock on the weekends. And so we bought it. We got the plans. I hired an architect to kind of finish off everything, and we are just about to break ground, and it's going to be awesome. It's the closest to San Francisco, and all the things that people are doing now, worried about up in the wine world, north of us, are how are we going to get people to, like, we want to be part of this authenticity thing. What are we going to do? And how are we going to get people to drive way up here? Our tasting traffic is down. And what about the millennials? And I'm like in the back of the room when they're all hearing them say this at the conference last year, and I'm going, check.
Yeah.
We've got all these boxes checked, and we're right in the middle where and for the listeners, what I had to do, I couldn't help myself. My original architects were like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "You guys don't get it."
Yeah.
We're putting in a motorsports museum that is pretty good size. It's attached to the tasting room on one side and the banquet room on the other. And when you walk in it, you go from a cool, old Southwestern feel winery to immediately into flat screens and black floors. And there are 4 simulators, and we're trying to move over a lot of our trophy and collateral stuff over there. Mm-hmm. But I think the key component is we are building a very good stretch of 31-degree banking of Daytona with 2 cars on it.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be properly lit, really nice, and, just kind of representing what has been a big part of our world and our culture. Yeah. I think the key is people don't know how steep 31 degrees is. Yeah. I mean, you drive it, and whatever. When you walk up to it, you go, oh, my God, I guess so. And it's shocking.
Well, for you listeners that are going, why is Mark talking about wine on cars? Yeah, now you know why. I had to have Kevin come back and talk about what he's doing at Adobe Road because, you know what? I'll tell you what, Kevin, once that thing is up and running, I think one of my first trips after this lockdown pandemic is I'm going to take my wife down to San Francisco, pick up my son, his fiance, and we're going to drive up there and have some fun and drink some wine and look at cars. Woo-hoo! Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be cool.
Think about that, Mark. The car culture, all of our cool friends, even the listeners here, everything about it, the local Porsche club, the Ferrari club, the Aston guys, the car releases. They're looking for places to do the new release of a
there you go.
a Lexus or a Bentley or whatever. We check every box here. Yeah. And so I get to play into exactly what I love and the wonderful people that we've met along the way, tie it back to racing and tie it back to motorsports and cars and the world that you love and the world that I love. And we get to be sort of proudly representing it here in the North Bay.
Yeah. Win. Let's talk a little bit about the wine club. We talked about that earlier, but I want you to talk a little bit more about what's it called? What's it all about?
We call it the Inside Track is the name of the wine club. And
surprise.
We started it surprise. We realized years ago it was going to be hard getting originally through the distributor market, so we went the other way, went hardcore DTC, direct to consumer. We give everyone in the wine club gets first crack. So good wines that are small, under 100 cases, wine club only. Individual things like the discount structure is kind of set up. We're not a discounter, but we do give a 15, 20, and 25% discount. And it's kind of on a cool sliding scale. You can earn it by the longevity you've been in the club, or you can jump the line by the size of the order you decide.
There you go.
We ship quarterly. You can do 2 bottles all the way to 12 bottles. And we are the coolest club because I'm a member of many clubs that my wife is always trying to get me to drop out of. And I always tell my team, I said, you do not want to be that last guy. So we're going to make sure that we are always innovative, even to the point of like, we just sent out our wine club form and we give people a chance to they can change their stuff. So you're not forced to get anything. We only make really, really good stuff. But in the old days, you buy a case of crap to get the 2 bottles you wanted of something good. So we don't do any of that. And then also giving people the right to maybe put their club on hold for a quarter if they want. And things aren't going so well around Christmas. You need to save the money. No problem. We're not going to penalize you for that. Just come back when you can. And so for that reason, we just have a lot of members, and we have a lot of really happy members. And when the new winery opens, the entire upstairs is dedicated to the club. It's all VIP stuff upstairs looking over the water, so it'll be kind of fun.
Absolutely brilliant. All right, well, we're going to come into what I call the last lap here, Kevin. I do this on every show. This one's going to be a little different, of course, because we're talking wines today. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and have you give us some quick pops of the cork as we go. 1 or 2 sentence answered. So here's the first one. Pop. Yeah, there you go. What's one key element of creating great wine?
Yeah, I'd say the winemaker, and in our case, the collaboration between myself and the winemaker. I mean, because you have to start with the good stuff. Good. You can't start with a bad car,
right?
Bad engine. You got to have good grapes. So you have good connections. Just assuming you have all that. At that point, what do you do with it? Again, back to motorsports. You might have money. You might have a brand new Porsche they just sold you, but now what do you do with it is the key. So having a great winemaker, having a great some sort of strategy there is important.
Absolutely. What's your favorite wine?
As a varietal or a brand?
Well, we know the brand. Well, I'm not going to ask you that question.
I have a pretty good sized cellar, so that's not my Adobe Road down there. But I love buying everyone else's wine and learning and tasting. Now I can convince my wife that when that big order comes in, she doesn't get mad at me. I said, honey, it's research.
It's research. Yeah, exactly. Good trick. That's a nice trick.
Cab's the king. I default to a Pinot when I come home a lot of times. I even like some of the things going on up in the Oregon area with those. I like anything that's sort of trailblazing or cutting edge. I love seeing our car culture all the way down to North Carolina. Richard Childress making wine out there, and it's never a competition. I mean, it's hard to compete with the climate here. So you don't ask how do they compare. You just say that's so cool that you guys are getting the wine culture going in North Carolina or Virginia or Texas. So I like to stay up on whatever's happening new.
Absolutely. What advice would you give somebody who isn't a wine expert, but they enjoy wine and they want to learn more about wine? What's a piece of advice you give for somebody about selecting the best wine to drink?
Yeah, kind of resist the temptation to just go for the labels. I mean, ours are attractive, but the wine backs it up. And don't ever be intimidated. It's not one of those, do you smell the pine cones and the grapefruit?
What was the soil that grape grew in?
No, there's none of that. And people have really gone away from that. At least we do. We try to make people comfortable. We're doing all these virtual tastings. I'm doing one this Saturday night, and that's just been really popular for us. But my winemaker and I think it's been successful because, we ham it up like the old days of Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon, but we're talking also wine speak. We talk about the varietals. We talk about what people like. They ask questions. So for someone to get into the business, I'd say kind of maybe decide on what your palate's like. You like lighter? Or you like white or red? Do you like lighter? Do you like heavier? And then start to purchase some stuff, maybe not so expensive, just to learn what the differences are and drill down on it. Again, Wine Spectator is a great resource. Robert Parker's Wine Advocate's a great resource to learn. Those are the 2 big ones.
Yeah.
And you can keep your budget down pretty good, or you can spend a small fortune.
Well, of course.
Whatever you want. But one thing it does do, it brings awesome people together, just like in the car world.
Well, tell me a little bit about this virtual tasting online. How can my listeners partake in this? Because again, we're still kind of locked down here, and people are coming up with these brilliant ways to engage. So tell me about this virtual tasting.
Well, you just gave me a good idea, Mark.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how it works, and I'll throw the idea at you. So when we got locked down, now we got to reinvent ourselves and through digital, find a digital superiority here in some way. But people are now, having these virtual tastings, and I'm watching, trying to study competitive again, and what the other wineries are doing. Some of the big guys, they get a rep on there that talks about the wine, and it's like a Facebook Live or an Instagram, so it's just a one-way conversation. And after a couple of those, it's kind of boring. And so I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I'll put myself out there. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we'd throw the wines up there, and then we'd have a package people can buy. and it would give them a week. We try to keep it kind of tight because I don't think anybody's planning out 4 weeks right now. So we would advertise on Monday morning, and you have all week to purchase those wines, and you can buy 2 bottles, 3 bottles, 4 bottles. We usually make like a little package deal, or if you're a member of the wine club, you get your discount. And then here comes Saturday night, and we would get together, open it up on Zoom, and everybody pops in, introduce everybody, and then one by one we go through the wines and talk about them, talk about the color, the flavor, the varietals. And for those serious wine groups, that was really great. But what I started to realize is, wow, there's a lot more out there. If I'm fishing in the same wine bucket as everyone else, why don't I come and fish over here in this wonderful car bucket?
Yeah.
So now, like last week, we tipped our hat to the Long Beach Grand Prix. We're supposed to be racing there last weekend. Shame.
Yeah.
With my history of, loving the Grand Prix, and my friend Jim McCallion is the president. So, and we won it last year. So I asked Jim, I said, Jim, would you come on the Zoom with us? And he said, sure. So Greg Gill, the president of the SRO series, would you come on? Sure. So Lynn St. James, our friend, she's a wine, she's there, sure. So we ended up having a great little panel of people that were all relevant to that particular event. And then in that, we interspersed some of the wine talk.
Nice.
We're doing it this Saturday night with the F1 statistician, Sean Kelly, and a really great car group called 100 Octane.
Cool.
So and then we get a call, someone says, hey, me and my 12 friends want to do it, just out in D.C. So we're doing a surprise birthday party. We're doing for someone. The wife gave me all 20 names, and they bought 20 packages. And the husband's going to be walking by the computer next week. She's going to go, honey, come here, check this out. Click, and everyone's on their screen. Surprise!
Yeah,
and we do a wine tasting together.
Yeah.
So my idea, Mark, for you is, why don't we do one for Cars? Yeah.
Ooh.
I'll put a program together.
I love it.
You get to be the moderator as usual.
All
we
right.
can bring in some of your favorite guests from the past.
Okay.
Maybe a couple of good draws that are tie back in, and then I can put a package of wine out there. Give a little package for the listeners. They get the wines in front of them. We go live on Zoom. We have a little happy hour together.
I love it. All right. Well, listeners, listen, pay attention to my social media. We'll pick a day to do this. It's always Saturday nights, so we'll pick a time to do this. I think it's fantastic. I think we'll have some fun. I appreciate that. We're going to do that. Kevin, you've taken us on another great ride. And again, I'll remind listeners, if you missed my show with Kevin yesterday, go back and listen to it because we talk about the Racers Group and his racing history. Wonderful show. This one, of course, has been a little different, but I'm fired up about this. We'll do the Saturday night tasting group. When it comes to great wines, would you give us one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you walk off into the vineyards there at Adobe Road Winery?
Sure. Drink what you like. You figure out you like something. Don't let someone else force your hand. I mean, how many times someone stuck a stinky old Burgundy in front of me and said, do you like this? It's from 1956 from the blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it smells like dirty socks, man. Get it out of here. So, I like, pick what you like. If you like that kind of, gamey sort of erythral nose on a Pinot Noir from Oregon, or if you find out that you like fruit-forward, more Zinfandel style wines, don't let people bully you around it. Just do what you like. And if you're a big cab guy, try a Syrah because they're big. But, test the varietals, and then what you like. That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Very cool. And what's the best way for our listeners to learn more about Adobe Road Winery?
Sure. It's adoberoadwines.com. And within that, you can toggle between all 3 websites. You've got the Racers Group for what's going on in our car world. It's a little slow right now. You've got the Racing Series, the new Racing Series, and that's got the Racing Series wines.com. But at adoberoadwines.com, you can go there, and also can show you what events are coming up. And, we're continuing to develop our digital strategies and getting a little bit better here. So, yeah, really cool.
Absolutely. Listeners, again, you can find links to everything on Kevin's show notes page on the Car Show website. Just go there, type in Kevin Buckler. That page will pop up. Again, listen to the show we had yesterday and start watching social media here. Also do a email blast. So if you haven't signed up to receive my emails, go to the carsyeah.com website. Click on the free book button. I'll send you my free filler up book. Your name will be there and you receive a notice about this tasting night we're going to do. I am so excited. This is so much fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Kevin, thanks for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and all your enthusiasm. A toast to you and your team for creating a delicious glass of wine. Until you and I talk again and we're on live sharing some of this wine, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for the listeners for taking the time to listen, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Cheers. Hey, Cars Yeah listener, we decided that the Cars Yeah virtual tasting at Adobe Road is going to be May 23rd. So go to the Cars Yeah website, go to Kevin's show notes page here, and I'll have a link there to how you can sign up and be a part of this. We're going to have some fun. May 23rd, virtual wine tasting with Mark Green at Cars Yeah and Kevin Buckler at Adobe Road and all the fun people that'll partake in this great adventure. I hope you join us.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.